And is there another motion?
Yes, I have a motion. I move to approve the staff naming committee's recommendation for renaming Washington Lee High School because Robert E. Lee's name does not meet the newly adopted APS school naming criteria, and to direct the superintendent to initiate a community process to rename Washington Lee High School that aligns with the naming criteria in School Board Policy 50-1.10. I further direct the superintendent to identify members of the Washington Lee High School Renaming Committee by September 2018. The school renaming committee will be charged to work through the fall of 2018 in accordance with the Arlington Public Schools Naming of Facilities Implementation Procedures 50-1.10, and to submit a recommendation for a new name for Washington Lee by December 2018 for consideration and approval by the school board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. O'Grady, would you like to comment on your motion?
Yes, Dr. Cannon,
Okay.
and thank you very much. I would like to thank the Arlington Public Schools staff that prepared the suggestions for updating our naming policy. I appreciate that APS not only sought out people who interact with our students daily, but also staff who themselves were APS students. The time came for the naming policy to be updated, and I think the committee has taken many perspectives into account, as well as APS's current and future mission, vision, and core values. I support their work, and I am comfortable that their recommendations set guideposts for naming that will honor all students in our majority-minority school district. As an academic institution, it is important that we remain open to learning from the past and improving in the future. As we become a more diverse community, we must remain open to the perspectives of many and how holding on to some elements of our past can in fact still have an impact on our future. The strategic plan we are considering tonight reaffirms many of the values that have led our system for years. They include developing global citizens, valuing our diversity, and operating in an equitable manner. Here in Arlington, one of our high schools honors a Virginian whose past does not meet the criteria laid out by the proposed new policy, now adopted. Robert E. Lee has been called a hero, someone who worked to reunite the nation after the Civil War, and a misunderstood American. Others have called him a traitor, a racist, and a person who led the South into battle to defend the right to enslave one people to benefit another. Fortunately for us, as an academic institution required to teach about Robert E. Lee as part of Virginia and American history, his truthful place in history will be explored in the classroom by our students. Recently, as I was going through my own children's previous academic work, I actually ran into an example of that in my own home, a booklet that one of my children made about Arlington House and those who lived in it, including Robert E. Lee, members of his family, and the slaves that served them. Whatever you believe about Lee, today our country is still impacted by slavery, including the fight to prolong it and the Jim Crow era that followed. One example of that is the actual naming of Washington Lee High School. General Lee's name and other symbols of the Confederacy were immortalized, not just to honor Lee, but I believe also to intimidate African Americans. Laws that made it illegal to teach people of African descent to read and write, made it legal to have separate and ultimately unequal schools, helped perpetuate the idea that people of color didn't deserve equal opportunity, and that even if they were given it, they couldn't achieve excellence. And lastly, that they weren't welcome in schools and in communities. Those sentiments and beliefs were abundant 93 years ago when Washington Lee High School was named and opened, and they are wrong. Unfortunately, General Lee's name on our school is a painful reminder to some of that time and those sentiments. Today, those values and beliefs held by some in our nation still have an impact on some of our students and their families, whether it's having a sales associate watch you a bit more closely when you shop, or even being discouraged from attending an open house when you knock on the door. I know, because those things have happened to me. Here in APS, we do believe in academic excellence and opportunity for all. We do believe that the color of your skin, physical ability, country of origin, native language, or income shouldn't have an impact on your rights or success. This step helps ensure that we are keeping our students at the center of all we do. Celebrating your school pride should not include having to wear a shirt like this one that honors a person who may not share your values. That is why I'm interested in finding a new name that builds on Washington Lee graduates' great accomplishments, their pride, and I believe one that demonstrates the value of our Washington Lee alumni, the current students, and our future graduates. I hope that members of the alumni will work with APS to find a new name that all students and all graduates can be proud of, that follows this updated naming criteria, and most importantly, that represents our APS values and the values of our Arlington community. Thank you.